Hey, this is Scott Allen Miller here on Sam IT on YouTube, and today I want to talk about how VPNs and HTTPS are the same thing, or essentially the same thing. So, first of all, what is a VPN? So, VPN stands for Virtual Private Network, and all it is an encrypted tunnel from one point to another over which we transfer network traffic. It's kind of that simple. VPN is a broad category. It applies to a lot of different things. There's a lot of technologies that do this. Long ago, we used to be really into the PPTP protocol that Microsoft used. That's been found to be pretty insecure. We don't really use that anymore. IPsec came along and is used a lot. SSL is used in many cases. There's lots of things, right? Lots of different vendors. There's proprietary ones, open ones, different protocols, different styles of VPNs. There's Pertino and zero tier that do completely different approaches. There's just all over the map. VPN is a very broad thing. You can even use things like S-Tunnel, which just makes an SSL tunnel, or you can use the SSH protocol and use that to enable SSL as a tunnel. You can tunnel right through any SSH connection. So VPNs are very broad. We use them all over the place. But when we're talking about VPNs, we have a tendency to kind of get stuck thinking about them in a very limited capacity. And one of those ways is in having individual endpoints, say a desktop or a laptop, connecting into a network. So we think of a VPN aggregator in one spot and a desktop in another, and we just kind of picture that use case, and that it's connecting the LAN, one LAN to the other. And we kind of expect that they'll act just like they're sitting on the LAN locally. Another example is where we do network to network. In those cases, we have one network with a VPN and another network with a VPN, and the connection is the one LAN to the other, and everything on those networks shares that connection, and they're wide open as if they're one LAN. So we tend to very strongly associate VPNs with those two use cases. And there are others. For example, Zero Tier and Pertino do what we call a mesh, where every single device on the network is connected individually to each other device, or they at least appear that way. In many cases, they go through an aggregator that mimics that. But what we often leave out is that if we were to take those technologies that are doing that and apply it to a single port or a single application, or manage it behind the scenes automatically, what we get is SSL encapsulation for an individual protocol or something similar, but that would be a common use case. And that's exactly what HTTP with SSL is. It is a very tightly integrated, very automated, very single protocol, single port, single use VPN setup just for that HTTP traffic. It actually creates an SSL tunnel and puts traditional HTTP through it. It is a VPN in every realistic sense of the word. It is a virtual private network. It is using the same technology. It is using the same connection. It is using everything. In most cases, even the same shared libraries as, say, OpenVPN or some other, or S-Tunnel, right? So it's an important way to think about how these secure protocols work, because we often say things like, well, we need a VPN to be secure. But if you're using a secure website, you have a VPN. And it's not like a VPN. It is a VPN. If you feel a VPN is secure, then you should feel that this is secure from a technology standpoint. Of course, any given implementation of those things may be a problem. So if you're dealing with a website, a lot of people will say, well, with OpenVPN, I would have certificates. But you can have certificates on HTTPS, just most people decide not to implement them. That's a choice, and you could have that same choice with a VPN. What you don't want to do is think that it's the technology that's making the difference, it's the implementation. If you, for example, are implementing a secure website for your company, and you feel you need the protections that a VPN would supply, you can do that with your website. You just have to configure it as you would a VPN to have certificate-based authentication of the endpoints or whatever. But all that technology is there because, and you have to keep repeating this because people are sure it's not true, under the hood, HTTPS, FTPS, SSH, OpenVPN, they're all the same technology. They are all VPNs, just with different applications layered on top, or different amounts of protocols or ports or whatever that are open inside. or whether they're locked to an application or open to the entire operating system. But none of those things define a VPN. In all of those cases, it is a VPN, shared technology. It's just how we're implementing it. So when you think about the security of a VPN, the options of a VPN, those are universal things across all of those. So thanks for joining me today, and I will, of course, be linking this on the Mango Lassi community, which you can check out at mangolassi.it, and I'll have a link in the show notes. And don't forget to like and subscribe.